Hello, people. It's been a while, and it will continue to be a while between videos because right now I'm back in school, and because of past credits from the Navy, I should be able to get an associate's in electronics and computer tech and a certificate in design tech, specifically for lab robotics and hopefully in the future 3D printing, potentially for 3D organ printing, as I have cellular biology experience. So that's just to let you guys know what's going on and why I haven't been making videos lately, and it might continue between the next 2 years. I'm going to try and at least get one out every month. But the entire point of this video specifically is a follow-up I had on the gun issue, which I'm sure will anger a few people. But I want people to understand there's a lot of confusion behind this issue. There's a lot of arguments of false equivalency, and I'd like to discuss those I'm constantly running into. They make sense if you narrow the scope and are uninformed to the actual purpose of some of the policy, but only then. Once you understand the actual policy and the viewpoint, especially from the police and actual criminal justice, it makes a lot more sense. There are memes going around the right-wing internet stating deaths caused by various objects, where cars and alcohol and blunt objects kill more people than guns. While there may be discrepancies in the data, let's assume that it's correct. Their mocking argument is that we regulate guns, then we should regulate all these things. And we do regulate cars and alcohol. However, cars and blunt objects have other uses, and their purpose to the general society is not to kill. Guns are made for one purpose, to kill. Mind you, no one is talking about taking away your guns, just licensing them like cars, and preventing private sales to keep guns away from people who can't pass a background check. Unfortunately, 40% of all gun sales at the moment are done through these straw purchases, and there's no repercussions whatsoever. So you get people who shouldn't be getting guns buying guns. The biometric smart gun that can stay loaded but only fired by the owner would end quite a lot of problems. Kids couldn't shoot themselves, and only the more tech savvy could steal a gun and make it useful. There's also a bigger generalization argument that criminals won't follow the law and will get guns anyway, or use other items to kill. Sadly, this lumps anyone who's ever been convicted into the same category. Like every criminal is part of a well-organized mafia with easy access to private militia-style weapons. What happens more often is that some desperate guy gets a gun easily and uses it for a crime. If it wasn't so easy, the chances of this guy getting a gun wouldn't be very high. And I shouldn't say guy, I should say man or woman. So only a fraction of criminals would have easy access to guns and put the effort into it to hunt it down and pay the black market price for them. They may try using other weapons, but a guy in Sandy Hook shoots 20 kids and a teacher and they're all dead, yet a guy in China went on a stabbing rampage and all the kids lived. Yes, many people choose to kill others, but people are also impulsive, irrational beings, and if something makes it easier, the temptation becomes even greater and disconnects the killer from the one being killed. The greater the disconnect, the less the empathy can stop the killer. And these blunt objects mentioned in the statistics, those were the ones that succeeded. And they don't even mention the ones that failed to kill because blunt objects are really inefficient. Just imagine if all of them had guns in their reach at that time. Most crimes occur in what we call heat of the moment, out of blinding anger and rage. They grab whatever's nearest and they use it, hence the high blunt object use. A minority is what you would call cold or premeditated. They are the people who plan out and can use anything like fertilizer and the school axings. They are the minority of criminals that will coldly plan to kill people. The gun regulation reduces heat crimes, not cold crimes. These people have something psychologically wrong with them, or say they're actually in the mob. Why what really needs to happen is free psych treatment for all, but that ain't happening for like a couple more decades. So yes, you are absolutely correct. The criminals that are actually being cold premeditated murderers, that probably won't reduce the gun crime that much. But the people who have the opportunity to get a gun out of desperation, go rob a store or something, their chances of getting guns will be lower. Also, the majority of criminals who kill, that will be reduced significantly because they will switch to blunt objects, and only the ones who have planned ahead will efficiently kill. And that's, I believe, like 20%. And of course, psych treatments would allow people to work out their rage and anger, and they wouldn't pick up items and try and bash their lover over the head with it. I would like gun license to be as strict as driver's license, and from what I hear some states, they are. I fully support mandatory gun education for gun owners, and so did the NRA before they became a puppet for the gun industry to sell more guns. Gun safety, gun use, and the use of guns in stressful or hostage-like situations are all counterintuitive to the way the mind works. People who end up in these stressful situations, such as mass shootings, often end up finding these guns are useless or threatening to others in the confusion. At Gabby Gifford's shooting, the only guy with a gun almost shot the guy tackling the shooter to the ground in confusion. Another guy in a mall shooting let his emotional sense of fair play get the best of him and gave the shooter a chance to surrender. The guy's now in a wheelchair, and his gun was useless. The argument the gun nuts are having is not the argument the rest of the nation's having, because they've been framed to ignore the police statistics and the entire purpose the policies are created. Perhaps this will explain to many against gun control why even gun enthusiasts are jumping on the gun reform bandwagon. It's because they love having guns, and they don't want them hurting people and being used by people who shouldn't have them.